Tom de Koning, he's ready. 60 games. Born on the 16th of July, 1999. Debuted in 2018. Joe, our pick 30 from the 2017 national draft, sort of came of age towards the back end of 23, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. That Melbourne semi-final, it solidified and probably confirmed that it's not all potential anymore. And this is what the biggest talking point with Tom was for a long time, was his ceiling so high, but we haven't seen it, and we haven't seen it consistently enough. And yeah, I think the way he finished 2023 was phenomenal.
Yeah. That semi-final, I still remember it. First quarter, D's get off to the start. Charlie's struggling. Somebody needed to help us out. We didn't have Harry. He wasn't playing. And then Tom kicks 2 goals in the first quarter. I remember him taking the first grab. I think Cripps kicks it to him from the wing, runs off the wing. And I remember thinking, he's definitely kicking this, 100%. And then he takes the next one straight away. I think he might have got a free kick for a push out.
Yep.
And it was the first, it was probably one of the first few times I've been at a game or watched a game and I'm like, fuck, need someone to really help us out here and pull a rabbit out of the hat. And he came through. And, I don't want to put too much expectation on him. I don't expect him to be a superstar ruckman. I expect him to just be a good ruckman, a solid ruckman, well-rounded. And I think now he's coming off 2 seasons in a row where he's played 19 games in each.
Yep.
He's had Pito there for a couple of seasons now to help with the load of the ruck work. The big conversation I find whenever we talk about Tom or just ruckman in general at the club is, who's the number one? What's the balance between him and Pito or him and Jack Silvani? Where do you fit in this conversation?
It's going to be interesting next year. I still firmly believe all three can play. But it's going to be interesting to see how they balance it. I don't think all three will play together. I think there's going to be some hard calls made, which is tough because, even Pito, we know his value at the contest and the way that he throws his body around, and it's not something that can go unnoticed. Jack Silvani started coming into his own. As that second ruck, third tall. So, and then, where does Tom fit in that? But I think the way that Tom finished the year, he's first picked, right, out of the three. And what his role is probably more so, I hate to say it because then I don't know where Jack fits, but probably more so as that third tall before he's a ruck. And then, who supports in the ruck as that, tap expert, if you want. That's probably Pito. And then where does Jack fit? So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, Tom's had his breakout moments now, and he's had his breakout games, and he's had a few of them. So now it's about putting together a body of work over the course of a whole year where you can look at Tom this time next year and go, he was top 5 at the club.
So he's entering season 7, I think it is. That seems to be the sweet spot for a big boy, for a ruckman in particular. I've never been someone that relies on him as a forward in terms of scoreboard impact. I know he kicked the 2 against the D's in that semi, and that was awesome. Kicked 9 for the season. This is where I'm a little unsure. I feel like this ruck conundrum it just depends who we're playing. I think if we're playing someone like Melbourne, you need them both.
Yeah.
I think there were certain games where it was Tom and Jack Silvani as the pinch hitter where it worked beautifully. So I'm not really one to fixate on it's got to be 2 ruckmen all season. This is our team. Deal with it. I feel like it's going to be dependent on who we play, but also like shit happens. Injuries happen. Tom may miss, touch wood, hopefully he doesn't, but he may miss some games. He might be sore. Pito as well. Jack as well. So I'm not too fixated on how many ruckmen we play. But I think Tom's next layer is the consistency piece. And then I think he can really help us out forward of center. I probably don't have as much belief in his forward craft as what some other people do. But if he can just get himself to a point where he's kicking even 20 goals in a season, I think that would be massive
Yeah,
for
I
this
mean,
team.
a goal a game, almost a goal a game would be huge. It'd be
Yeah.
huge. It's a good point. It's actually a good point that you raise around. We actually don't have to play all three all the time, and you can look at your oppo and set up based on that. So it's a good luxury to have. All three have very, very different skill sets, which is a good thing to have in your ruck department as well. So yeah, I don't know. If you go back and listen to the podcast early in the year, I was the biggest critic of Tom de Koning because I was just like, mate, you're not worth the money that the market's talking about. And at the time, I still believe he wasn't. I would stand by that if I had to go back and do those episodes again. He was not worth the money that was being spoken about. But he added those layers to his game, and he added a little bit of forward craft where it was like, all right, I didn't see that from you, and they're in big moments. There's not many players that can do that in big moments, and you've got to have it to do that in big moments. So he's obviously got it. He's obviously worth the money that we are now paying him. It's just whether or not, like I said, he can put it together for a full season because you now need consistency with Tom. It's big moments are great in finals, right? And he did his job within that first quarter of that semi. He didn't have to touch the ball after that. He set us up. He was that, like you said, he was that outlet when Charlie wasn't necessarily firing early on. But when it's a round 14 game against Hawthorn or whoever we're playing in round 14, I know the fixture's out now. But when it's a game where it's kind of like, well, he could have a day out here and he doesn't. That's kind of like, well, you had your opportunity there, and that's where I want to see Tom really take the game by the scruff of the neck and go, it's my day today, and I'm going to kick 4. I'm going to dominate in the ruck department against some unknown, and go from there. So I think the more that he can do that, the better it's going to be for him long term.
Yeah. I feel like if he can add, I mean, the goals are the goals. We have some big boys down there. When he's down there, if he can impact, great. I think it's his ability to mark around the ground. He took 54 marks for the year,
Not many.
2023. So I think what's that like from 19 games? What's that like?
3 a
Just
game.
under 3 a game.
Yeah.
I don't see a reality where he can't get that to like 4, 5 per game. And if he starts doing that, we start adding another player who does what Harry does around the ground, where he takes a mark, allows everyone to spread, and we just get to control the territory a bit more. So his aerial craft around the ground for me is priority number 1. The consistency will come because of that. And then I think once it starts clicking consistently for him, he'll start realizing, oh, actually, I'm actually one of the best handful of ruckmen in the league. Then it's dangerous. Then it's dangerous.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be the other interesting thing, and you can say this is bullshit all you want, but some players do start to believe their own hype very quickly. And when you got Robbie Williams singing songs about you, it could be a very slippery slope. So I'm actually very interested to see how Tom handles the spotlight, because I'm telling you now, he will be one of the golden boys in the comp with where we're at. Like, it's the perfect time for him. He's got the look, he's a rock star, right? And he's got the leap, he's got the athleticism, he's got all of it. He's got Robbie Williams singing songs about him. Some players get sucked into that, and you see it. And I don't think Tom's the type of player that does. I've met Tom once or twice, and he seems like a very, very cool cat, very calm and collected. But I'm going to be interested to see where that hype goes and how he sort of handles it, because there have been players along the way that have gotten caught up in that hype too easily, and you see that it impacts their form, and you see that it impacts the way that they perform. So it's going to be interesting from that front too.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think, comes from a very humble family. The club is in good stead. I think the culture will keep him in good stead. But I mean, Robbie Williams, that type of attention, that not many players get that type of attention. And you're right. Let's just say he has a 3 or 4 game patch where he's playing really well. The AFL media have this obsession with big boys. They do. They love it, whether it's a forward or whether it's a ruckman. And I think as soon as he starts playing a good patch of form, I can really see the over hype around his position. So just got to stay grounded and just keep chipping away. But he's coming along nicely. It's good to be talking about Tom as a reliable player in the team as opposed to what he's going to become, and once he puts on a little bit more size. And so we're in that phase of his career now, which is great.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gents, let us know. What do you think about Tom de Koning's prospects in 2024?